Hello, 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 and welcome to the Keys to Success Show. It is your girl, Miss Lee, full-time real estate entrepreneur and success coach based here out of the Atlanta, Georgia area. And today it is my absolute pleasure to welcome to the show Mr. Paul Glassco. Paul, thank you so very much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. I am excited to just dive into all of the amazing things you have going on and to hear some of your keys to success in your business and in your life. I know that you are a husband and also an amazing father as well. So I look forward to diving right in. If you would take a moment and introduce yourself to our viewers.
My name is Paul Glassco. I'm with Georgia Acquisition Specialist here in Marietta. We're based off of Roswell Road up by the Big Chicken. Been in construction all my life. I've been a GC for going on 17 years now. Like I told you earlier, about 2017, I recently stopped doing residential, and I focus only on investors and investors' properties. And we stay very busy.
Awesome, awesome. So if you would take us back a little bit when you first got into real estate investing and just tell us a little bit about who Paul Glassco is. Like, how did you get started in the industry?
Well, so I'm born and raised in Carrollton. I come from a town where, you either work in a factory, or you work outside, you work in a chicken plant, or, just there was not a lot of choices unless you came up to the Atlanta area. Right. So a friend of mine said, hey, we need some help on a job. They build houses. I became a lumber toter. My nickname was Whole Sheet. They'd scream Whole Sheet, and here I'd come running with a whole sheet of plywood. I overheard the owner. Back when I was younger, GCs were the investors, right? So GCs that I ever dealt with, they were the ones buying the houses, building the neighborhoods, getting the funding for themselves versus doing it for investors like we all do nowadays. Right. I overheard him on the phone with his buddy. He's like, hey, you find me another house like this and I'll give you $1,000. Well, poor old hometown country boy like me, $1,000 might as well have been $1 million. Right. So I thought that night, I was like, hey, what can I pack for lunch that I can eat really fast? I made me a little lunch. I ate it in like 10 minutes. I go door knocking. Never door knocked. I drove for dollars before I even heard of it. Right. Right. So I knock on the first one. The guy's like, get the F off my property. Okay, whatever. The next one, no one answered. The next one, the lady was very inviting. She invited me in. I got a lot of information from her and thought that I would just be bringing it back to the boss. Well, then he calls me. He's like, hey, you never leave for lunch. Where are you at? I told him. He comes down, long story short, gets it under contract. We're in the parking lot of this lady's house. Mm-hmm. He hands me $1,000, gives me a $3 an hour raise, takes me by the hand, teaches me how to read blueprints, how to build. And, went from there. I joined the union. I built churches for the Pastor Billy Graham, 100,000 seat capacity. Got kind of tired of traveling. So I started studying and got my GC license.
Wow, that is phenomenal. So it all started out with just door knocking and $1,000. Hey, go take this. And if you can find me, and so what in you was like, what in you made you say, let me go door knock? And I guess it was like the easiest route. Like,
right. He was like, hey, when he was on the phone with the gentleman on the phone, he was like, hey, find me something in this area again, mm-hmm. And I'll pay you $1,000. And I thought, I don't know what I'm doing, but the area means the road to me. So I'm knock, 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 and boom.
Yeah, that is amazing. So you got started on that journey and then eventually decided to get your life to become a licensed GC. Uh-huh. And I know that you had mentioned that you were recently transitioning out of residential and strictly focusing on investors. Tell us a little bit about what a GC does exactly.
So we don't sleep. We deal directly with the client. We help them find alternatives to problems that they have with a property that they've already purchased, or we walk the property, right when they're going to buy it. And we give them ideas off of, I did 127 fix and flips last year. So I've got hundreds of different, deals going through my mind. I'm like, hey, we moved a wall in this house, and then I show it to them. We do this type of floor. I've got a window distributor, things like that. Because if I can save them thousands and I'm still being profitable, we're not going to do just one house. That's not my goal. If you call me and say, hey, Paul, I got one house and I'm done, probably going to give you a referral to somebody, I'm looking for partnership, right? Because I mean, I have investors that I do 8 to 12 houses a year for that I have for the past 7 or 8 years.
Wow. And so were you last year individually as an investor, were you the one buying and fixing and flipping those homes?
No, a lot of people ask me that. Who has time for that, right? No,
Right.
honestly, I don't though. I don't have time for my own fix and flips. I have done some in the past years.
Mhm.
Um, I just find myself more successful by helping someone else utilize their money and their time. And we beat up on the city nicely, right? We have plans and programs in place that, like right now, COVID-19 inspections are a nightmare. But I have structural engineers, I have electrical engineers, and I have plumbing engineers that we pay them for a PDF file write up and inspection. They get it done, and we can continue on with the property, and that's turned into the city without having to wait. And then because time is money, holding cost can murder a deal. And if I can take the 3 weeks to a month that the city's going to stall, I could save an investor up to $3,000+.
Wow, that is amazing. And so when it comes to fixing and flipping and renovating, how important, and I know the answer to this, but for our viewers, how important is it to have a knowledgeable, qualified GC on the project?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If I'm just shopping at Home Depot and Lowe's, then I'm doing you a disfavor, not a favor. I'm a shopper, right? My mother taught me very well. My mother raised me. I'm raised by just my mother. Father wasn't around. So we call on, like, if you want to build a new house, I'm probably on the phone with 10 different lumber distributors, 10 different grading companies that I bring in. I'm trying to get these numbers down to where they make sense for when I put my profit and overhead on there. I never hear, "Oh my God, you're overpriced," or Joe down the street does it cheaper or something like that. We usually have a pretty smooth playing ground because almost 19 years in this business. Shopping's where it's at. I mean, for real. I mean, I've shopped siding. I probably call 8 siding companies. Flooring distributors when I have like investors who are buying hold investors. I deal with them a lot. We have a 24-hour maintenance service where we service multifamily and things like that. Hot water heaters bust and water comes spewing out. I've got a guy that'll be there at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now he just turns the water off, cleans the water off, dries it up, and then we prepare to fix the problem in the morning. But we save your asset. I mean, honestly, my $300 service call just probably saved somebody about $3,000.
Wow, that is phenomenal. And so, why? I know you said you transitioned into investors. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like and how many projects you currently have going on.
So, currently have 14 projects going right now.
Right.
We normally have a basis between about 14 and 18 properties going. I've got a little over 100 employees that are underneath me. The transition was where I'm not going out and fixing a loose shingle or changing out a couple of windows or things like that. Those things started taking my crews and splitting them apart.
Right.
Because it only took like 3 guys on the house, but I've got a 7-man crew. So now with investors, I can put all my manpower on each and every job, and I can move them in stages. So if plumbing time is on this property and we're done and we passed the rough and it's time for plumbing over here, we can move on versus waiting on my plumber to finish Miss Mary's clogged up toilet. Now,
Right.
shifting into investors out of residential, I still created crews enough to still pick up some, but most of it's still for investors because it's rental properties or for property management companies.
Wow. And I know that you mentioned, I mean, all of that is absolutely phenomenal. So, I mean, just hearing, 100 crew underneath you and just managing all of that. What are some of your keys to keeping it all together? Some of your keys to success for keeping it all together?
Don't try to do it by yourself. Don't grab the whole bundle and say, mine. There's no way. There's no way you'll be successful. You'll either be successful in business and unsuccessful at home, or successful at home and unsuccessful at business. You've got to have people you trust, people who are like-minded, people who don't see the day, like like Sunday. I'm sending people text messages and calling people on Sunday, and then I send apologies. I'm like, I'm sorry, I thought it was Wednesday or Thursday, but
Right.
I employ people who work the same way as I do, so we have a perfect level playing ground. And again, I have employees that's been with me for over 10 years.
Wow, that is amazing. So surrounding yourself with the right people, that's important, and just making sure the
Always.
work ethic is there.
Always. And then see, we complete the circle. So I started wholesaling
Mhm.
to feed my construction company because I thought, hey, all these wholesalers are the ones selling these properties to my investors anyways. How do I get into that money, right? But two, how do I feed when they're not feeding?
Right.
So we started wholesaling. I started dealing with lenders. So I keep lenders, wholesalers, real estate agents, and brokers in a complete circle. Because if you think about it, if I wholesale them the property and I do the rehab, it's got to be sold. There's
Right.
got to be hard money more than likely for the investor to start, and there's got to be retail money for Mr. and Mrs. New home buyer. So we make sure we keep a complete circle that way. And then I make some phone calls too. A lot of our properties get sold, and it's based on the investor, not me. We do the work that they vision, but their vision is what helps. But a lot of these properties are getting sold before they even go on the market.
That is amazing. And to know that you put together that full circle, product for each person along the line of the transaction is amazing. I mean, it's a great concept because like you said, whether it be a wholesaler providing the leads or, when it's time to get them sold, you have that transaction taken care of throughout.
I don't take no very well.
Yeah, that's
I mean, I have a new investor right now, and he's probably watching, and I'm still working. We've probably talked to 4 different lenders
wow.
for hard money, and the biggest problem is a little credit issue, but we're trying to find more asset based. But they're not giving up, and I'm not giving up. Just because your credit's not great doesn't mean I can't find an asset based investor. I mean, lender, and we get this property done.
Wow. And that is, I mean, that's another added bonus and service, I guess, that you offer to the investors that you work with is that you also will put in place in a system and putting in place their funding and financing. So not only,
And I hold their hand through the deal. So a lot of these folks just look at a house and they go, and I'm like, it's okay. Here's my cabinets, and I'll show them pictures of cabinets and flooring. I have a 3D rendering. It's a free app that I use actually, and I can take the inside photos of the house, and then it'll create like an inside floor plan, and I can put these different types of floors, different type, if it's shiplap in the bathroom, and they can actually see their project before we start. And then, new people, there's not a lot of them right now. There's some coming in, but a lot of them are just so scared, or they get the nightmares from the wrong person.
mm. And so if someone wanted to work with you, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you? Because I know, like you said, new people getting in, they're going to want someone who's experienced. You have 19 years in the industry. What's the best way of getting hold of
So, you can either give me a call, 470-776-4135,
you?
message me on Facebook, find me on Instagram at Georgia Acquisition Specialist, all one word. So big, I apologize. And you can see my previous work. We do some before and after photos on my Instagram. I need to get a little more social media involved, but we do try to get some properties, before and after photos on there so folks can actually see the work. And here's the thing too. If you say, Paul, I need a GC, that's great. There's a dime a dozen of GCs.
Yeah.
But I have projects going right now. I will meet you personally on the projects, and we walk someone else's project together. And you can see time frames, and you can see the work being done, and you can see the craftsmanship and the soul and heart that we put into these projects. You're not just a paycheck to us. If you was, we would just do one house and be done.
Right. I mean, and that is so important. Just understanding, like you said, the craftsmanship, the different types of materials that go into even, making the projects come to life. That is so, I mean, that information is invaluable, especially to someone who's new, who don't, they may not understand exactly what all goes
Right.
into the rehab.
Some people just have money,
Right.
right? I mean, they either came into money, inheritance, hit the lottery, who knows, right? New job, gave them a huge bonus, and they want to invest. Well, the word invest is great, but then the knowledge to get into investing is what makes or breaks a company. And the worst investors I've seen, and I hate to say this, are cash investors, because any property that I've ever seen that has been 60, 70% done that is now for sale or for wholesale or it's been foreclosed on by maybe a hard money lender where they tried to borrow out of it. It's where they came in and they started with cash and they don't bring the right GC in. If I come in and I say I'm going to do $100,000 property, rehab, there's no change orders, there's no a bunch of hitting fees. We figure that stuff in the beginning. That way you're not pulling out of your pocket versus it coming from the bank. But backing up to the cash investors, they go in with a vision of, well, I've got the money, I can do this property for $80,000, and then the GC comes in there and they work, and $80,000 worth of work is done, and there's still $50,000-$60,000 worth of work done, and then they belly up.
Wow. Yeah. And that's true. It's kind of what goes into it. When it comes to renovation costs, because I know you were just mentioning renovation costs, how long does it take you to estimate the renovation costs? And I know you see a lot of different numbers, whether it be wholesalers or new investors or cash investors, who throw around the, ARV and renovation costs and all of that. As a GC, how do you see it from, someone who's actually doing the work and knows the true cost of it?
So we do some insurance claims also.
Right.
So we use Xactimate. Xactimate is a program that I don't really use it on my properties, but I do go back, and it's a third-party monitored system that
Right.
keeps up with inflation of materials,
Right.
even all the way down to paint and gallons of paint and things, per foot, a linear foot of 2x4s and things like that. Right now, we're pushing between 31 and 36% markup since COVID-19 hit.
Wow.
But again, I'm a shopper. If you're building a new house, I can build you a new house at $95 a square foot turnkey.
Wow. $95 a square.
But I buy lumber from a company that brings it in on a train in South Carolina. It comes off the train in South Carolina on a truck with the forklift on the back. They pull up on my job site and they drop. And I save the client 10 to 12% on material cost, and I save myself 10 to 12. So I still pay a markup, but it's not 31 to 36%. And of course, a lot of even investors don't realize this, but if you get with the same distributor and you
Right.
keep using these folks, you
Right.
can get set prices.
Wow.
I got set prices from like 2012. There's
Wow.
certain things I buy that are double the price, but they honor my contract.
Wow. That is amazing. It's like your grandfathered in at that cost because
Exactly.
you're business.
That's the only way to survive in this, because you don't know day to the next. Because if they have a COVID outbreak in, let's say, a lumber plant, a major lumber plant, boom, there's inflation right there the day of.
Wow. And so $95 per square foot for a new construction. I know a lot of times with the rehabs that are going on, what is there an average of renovation costs that you're seeing for certain properties?
It just varies on trim levels, because you come in with quartz and tile backsplash and shaker cabinets, or we build custom cabinetry, which can get very expensive.
Right.
Things like that. So it just really varies on the trim level. Just like with the $95 a square foot, that doesn't include groundbreaking or doing any landscape or stuff like that. Well, no, excuse me, it includes the landscape, but I mean like bulldozer work and things like that. But you're still looking at
Right.
what, $2,000 to $5,000 extra for your land prep and things like that. Now we're not talking about a modern house, but we're talking about a good 195 to 200 plus $1,000 house that at $95 a square.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing stuff. So, on top of all the amazing information that you have from being a GC for the last 19 years, you are also a husband and a father. Tell us a little bit about how some of your keys to success to just being an amazing dad, an amazing husband, and being, busy.
It's my drive.
Yeah.
It's my drive. I mean, between my wife and I, we have 5 children and 2 dogs.
Wow.
I breed exotic dogs also. So it's a natural balance. When I wake up in the morning, I have more motivation than just for myself, right? And God, right? It's not just me and God. It's me, God, my wife, my dogs, my kids. I've got and employees, because during COVID-19, I freaked. I was like, oh my gosh, I have so many people that work for me. I'm going to have to take out a loan to pay them to keep them on staff, right? To keep food on their table, to keep their light bills on. Screw me. I've got people who have dependency upon me. Well, thank God for being, considered an essential company. So we did very well during COVID-19, and I kept people busy, and I didn't have any of the assistance from the government. I didn't get any of the checks like a lot of people are getting, paycheck protection and all that stuff. We didn't need it. So
that's amazing. So just having that drive is what your keys to your success of just being consistent in it. Where do you think that drive comes from?
I don't know. Somebody asked me the other day, they're like, hey, when are you going to retire? And I was like, people retire from jobs they don't like.
Right.
I love my job. I love what I do. I love my clients. I love to see ugly to beautiful. I love to take a house where a GC says, oh, you need to tear it down. And then we come in and we build the Taj Mahal out of it.
Wow.
Those are what pushes me to see investors during a pandemic step up and actually carry on, throw their bag over their shoulders and carry on. Well, I'm going to help them tote that bag because I'm with you. We're a partnership. Again, like I said, if we're just going to do one house, I'll probably refer you to somebody.
Right.
I'm looking for a long-term relationship with my clients, and that's what I'm building, and that's what I have built. And I don't run any ads. I think I spent $25 last year on Vistaprint business cards. I'm a word of mouth contractor, and we did probably $13 million worth of construction last year, and I'll probably do about 25 or 30 this year.
Wow. And so it's on an increase, even though, throughout the pandemic and everything else that's going on, your company is close to doubling what you've done last year.
Well, if we close this, and I have not closed it, so I can't brag on it, there's 134 house development in Rome, Georgia, that I'm an exclusive contractor on it. So if I get that, then, sky's the limit, of course.
Right. That is amazing. And are you also doing commercial, like units and things like that as well?
Yes, we did the voter registration offices in Cobb County a couple of years ago. I haven't done a lot of commercial here in the last, couple of years, more 2018 and back. We still do commercial work. I just got a call this morning about a commercial kitchen build out. We're going to bid that in the morning. So we can handle anything. We're a complete turnkey company. If you need tree limbs trimmed, I've got bucket trucks. If you need gutters, I've got gutter machines. If you need grading, I've got bulldozers. I mean, whatever you need.
Wow, that is amazing stuff. So, commercial units, residential, what else is in store for you moving forward with everything that you have going on?
We're trying to create a more virtual system with some of the stuff I have in my office. I have a call center and a partnership on a brokerage. We're trying to, stay with the times, right? I mean, I've got real estate agents who come out of school and they're in the same brain and mindset of agents who went to school 8 or 9 years ago, and that's not working. The yes or no question. Would you like to sell your house? Yes. Would you like to sell your house? No. Those are not an option for us anymore. So I'm bringing agents in to teach them wholesaling also. I have deal machines, so we do driving for dollars, but we do targeting driving for dollars. So if you call me and say, hey, Paul, I'm looking for Douglasville, then I've got drivers that I call and we go and target Douglasville, and we work just for you in those areas.
Right. And I can say definitely in my business, that has been one of the keys to our success is being that targeted. You really have to be niched. If someone says, hey, I'm looking in 30032 within, 0.5 miles of Glenwood, then you're going to go within that area and actually there rather than, mass mailing or list or anything like that.
I learned mass mailing was a failure for me because I throw them in the trash myself.
Right.
But what got me, and I learned from other people too, door hangers. So I just gave something away there. Door hangers work. Probably out of 10 door hangers, we get 6 phone calls.
Wow.
But because we're in the area and the door hanger is specifically targeted for that area, it costs a little more, but mailers are I'm not going to, don't take me wrong. I'm not saying mailers are a waste of time. Mailers are a waste of time in my mindset, because when I see them, I'm like, chunk them. But if you hang something on somebody's door, whether you're the cable company, whether it's neighborhood alerts and different things that they do, people stop, they read it, even they may still throw it in the trash. They do
Right.
stop. You never know what that person is going through when they walk through that door, and they go,
Right.
crap, I'm behind on my mortgage, or me, my brother, and my sister can't come to an agreement on my dead mother's home. You know
Right.
what I mean? We've got to do something with this.
Right. Wow. Great advice, great keys. And definitely, I use Deal Machine as well in our business. I absolutely love the app. It's very,
It's expensive, isn't it? I paid like $2,390.
but it's worth it, especially if you can have your team out there driving and bringing in new deals, from other areas. So it helps keep things organized in the
I've
business.
got Uber drivers, DoorDash drivers who are making an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month by just delivering food and stopping and snapping a photo, and
Yeah.
we work it through the system.
Wow. Yeah. And that is another key to success for anyone getting started, is just how important it is to just network with other people like the Uber drivers and the DoorDash drivers to get.
Yeah, they're not making any money. I mean, not saying they're not making any money, but they're not, on our side of the fence, they're not making money like they should be. And I'm like, hey, you're the most perfect boots on the ground there is. You
Yeah.
drive past and down alleyways and places that a lot of us don't even turn down.
Right.
But it's perfect because you see that house for sale by owner, or you see that gutters falling off and the grass is 12 inches tall and there's trash piled in the yard. Take a picture,
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely.
I did this when I was 17, 18 years old, and didn't even know I was doing it.
Wow. That is so phenomenal. So, I mean, with all of that, what are some of your final keys to your success? And what would you tell someone who's new getting into contracting and saying, hey, I think I want to be a GC? What would you tell yourself 19 years ago?
Oh, run. No, I'm kidding. Um, 19 years ago, I probably would have told myself to get my license quicker, because I was a sub first, right? I was the guy that got the trickle down, because it goes from the homeowner to the GC, then to the sub. So I was missing that in between, number per se.
Right.
But I was also out there swinging the hammer, wearing the belt, running the drill, standing in line at Home Depot, all of those things. And I was missing out on a lot of things. Again, I still, even once I got my GC license, I didn't go hands off until about 5 years ago, because I felt like, well, if I'm not doing it, it's not going to be done right. And again, that's went back to what I said earlier. Don't grab the whole bundle and try to hold on to it, or it's going to explode in your face.
Yeah.
So then I learned, was like, hey, I got off a job site one day, and I was way up on a ladder, like way up. And I couldn't ask my guys to get on. I had 2 flights of scaffolding and a 40-foot ladder. I was probably 70 foot up, painting the peak of this monster house.
Wow.
And when I come down, I had 7 missed calls. So I called some of them back, and one of them I called, they're like, oh, we appreciate it, but we found someone else. I needed somebody right then. Click. Just a storm went off of my head, and I said, I've got to find like-minded people like myself, hard workers like myself, to do my jobs, and then to work for me in the back office, and then I can catch these phone calls. Well,
Right.
once I started doing that, I went from a little, $70,000-$80,000 a year little company to where I'm at now.
Wow. That is amazing. Amazing. An amazing story and an amazing journey. I want to thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy afternoon to be on the show today and just going into your keys to success as a GC. I know we hear so many amazing things about them, but to kind of get a glimpse into your world has been absolutely awesome. And I definitely look forward to hearing more and absolutely connect.
You should come on the job site one day.
Well, you know what? That's actually what I'm going to talk to you about when we get off the air here in a little bit. But yeah, I'm super excited to just hear more. And I want to thank you again for tuning in, and thank our viewers today for tuning in to the show to hear some of your keys to success in your business and in your life. Do you have any final words before we sign off?
Stop watching the news. Don't listen to the people who down talk investing right now are the ones who are failing. Don't base your life off of someone else's failure, right? And again, I have, you know, some even lenders who have just shut their doors, right? And the same thing with investors. They've just closed up. Oh, we're not investing. And I got investors right now who are selling houses, and we're staying around the $400,000, you know, point and below, which is, you know, a very busy, you know, point. You know, 2009, when I worked for, I had a Jewish company out of Israel. They were buying every property they get their hands on. I was door knocking 8-9 houses a day, trying to buy a house. Anyways, long story short, there was more houses. I mean, excuse me, there was more people. Wait a minute, I'm backwards. There was more houses than there were buyers. Right. Now we got more buyers than we have houses still.
Wow.
It's still a buyer's market. Stay investing. Stay into it. Ride this election out. Whatever happens, it happens. It's God's will, you know, but ride it out and keep investing, because you're going to be the one standing there with a handful of dollars while everybody's standing there going, I wish I had I should have. Why didn't I? Don't be that person.
Yeah. And this is coming from somebody who has 19 years in the industry, and you know the rehabs, you understand the market. So if you're saying stay in, I mean, you are definitely a credible source to know, especially here in the Atlanta, Georgia market.
I mean, I got 14 projects going on right now, and they're not with the same person.
Wow.
At all. I have probably the most one person has is, I think, 3. Wow. So these are investors who, and I'm not the only GC in Atlanta. So other GCs are busy. People are smartly moving right now, and move with them, or move out of the way, right?
Right. Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you again for being on the show today. Thank you so much to our viewers for tuning in. And remember, we are live on the air every Tuesday and Thursday, where we interview local business professionals and entrepreneurs to discuss some of their keys to success in their business and in their life. It is your girl, Miss Lee. Paul, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much
today. And
thank you. Need me, call me. I'm always by my phone.
Absolutely. And definitely stay on the air when I sign off. And thank you to our viewers on Instagram as well for tuning in. Until next time, you guys have an absolutely amazing afternoon. Thank you.